They said we could never make it. Ooh. Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, the internet's busiest music nerd. Hope you're doing well. Let's talk about everyone's new favorite singer and songwriter in the country scene. That would be Mr. Oliver Anthony, a guy who we talked about on this channel not too long ago. Much to the dismay of many a commenter, saying that I was misunderstanding Oliver Anthony singing about rich men north of Richmond, and he wasn't drawing a north-south line. He was just singing about politicians from D.C., because that's north of Richmond, guys. But like, number one, Richmond, home of the Confederacy. So there's that, number one. And number two, there are politicians all over the country contributing to the societal and economic ills that Oliver Anthony supposedly cares about. It's not just the ones north of Richmond. But regardless, I talked about this in part in a clip that didn't make it into the original video. I don't think he just generally means politicians. There's politicians all over the United States of America. And most likely there's a lot of Southern politicians he probably agrees with. I don't think this guy would have an issue with government generally if it were, espousing and supporting whatever ideas he believed in. So yeah, Oliver's song gets recorded, gets released, put up on YouTube, gets blasted through a bunch of right-wing media channels and talking heads, promoted by this Jason Howerton guy. Turns out this guy is like a well-funded and connected, politically right-wing social media operative. We showed this in the video, but I need to be like, explicit about this and say that even dudes like Dan Bongino, that mailbox head man, came in and confirmed that, yeah, this guy basically came in, helped blow Oliver's song up. This basically makes Oliver an overnight sensation to the point where he gets a #1 song on the charts. That's right, numero uno, baby. He's getting media interviews and opportunities, although like he's not exactly towing the line that people are expecting him to tow, given the crowds of people that his song is hitting with. Like there's this interview where I guess he's coming on and talking about how like America's diversity is its strength. There are some right-wing weirdo guys who do not want to hear that is for sure. Oliver's song and music video were also played and referenced at the recent GOP presidential primary debate because, again, like I said, the song is doing really well, culturally speaking, in right-wing circles. It's dog whistles and it's attacks on the welfare state. It's saying the sorts of things that these people want to hear. But Oliver isn't really happy with the type of attention the song has been getting up until this point. He's actually gone onto social media a couple of times, most boldly when it got played at the GOP debate, just to say like, I don't want anything to do with this. I'm not right. I'm not left. I wrote this song about those people. It's not just about Joe Biden. He's kind of painting himself at this point as being like a very above the fray, not politically affiliated kind of guy, which he may very well be, even if there are some right-wing-esque talking points espoused in his song. Now, at first when I saw him doing this, part of me was like, oh, I wonder if he's like kind of disgusted with the stuff that he's seeing, or the types of people embracing his song and is trying to actively like distance himself from all of this. Honestly, I think Oliver is actually like most Americans and politically speaking is pretty much an ignoramus and doesn't really know what ideas, thoughts, or narratives are coming from what direction. He's just intuitively soaking up whatever it is he's reading or seeing like a sponge, and just by whatever intuition he has, just deciding what makes sense and what doesn't. Which there may be some people watching this video thinking, that's how it should be. That's how I am. What's wrong with that? Well, sir, that's how you end up in a place where you're writing a song where you think you're like defending and fighting for the working class, but you just end up attacking other poor people who are on food assistance. He has taken to Instagram to sort of try to explain away his attack on the obese milking welfare in his song. Look, dude, it's a crappy line. Just own up to the fact that the line is crap and has no place and makes no sense in a song that is allegedly a pro-working class song. And make no mistake, it was an attack on the welfare state, and this is something that some of the conservative talking heads that helped blast this song out and make it popular celebrated about the song most. Again, the sentiments of the song rang loud and clear. It hit with the people it was gonna hit with, given what Oliver Anthony expressed. And while I am willing to give him the benefit of the doubt that he was basically too dumb to a degree to understand what it was he was communicating, that's not to say that Oliver Anthony should be like, you know, just like given a pass for things that he says. He still communicated. It caught the ears of the people who sort of like understood the politics and understood the perspective. What I am saying is that I hope that Oliver Anthony has mind enough to look at the situation he's just been through, learn from it, and get some perspective on the power of his words and who he could potentially be hurting depending on who he decides to shout some negative words at or attack in a forthcoming song. I hope that politically he continues to go his own way, because I don't like the two major political parties in this country either. I know which one is pushing more toward fascism. Here's a hint: it's not the one that thinks trans people should be allowed to exist. So given everything we're seeing of Oliver Anthony up until this point, I don't think he's acting nefariously. I don't think he's a crazy right-wing figure either. What's most likely the case is the guy didn't really understand the political and ideological world his song was going to be getting fed into when he decided to work with this rich guy south of Richmond. And everybody who was going insane about like, oh, the song's not right-wing, it was more about who the song was being consumed and pushed and celebrated by. Again, with the song being played literally at a GOP debate, the track became even more of a far-right siren call than it was when I originally talked about it in my first video. Then, number two, Oliver Anthony, with all of his recent statements about how, this song was written about the politicians on that stage, it's not right or left affiliated. I'm kind of taking this as a W. This whole situation would be way, 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 way worse socially and politically speaking if Oliver Anthony, instantly after the song blew up and knowing where his bread was being buttered, decided to roll over and become a little piggy far-right media darling like Kyle Rittenhouse has. And even if he isn't the most politically educated guy on the planet, I can at least commend at this point that he's kind of reacted to this in such a way where he's like, well, screw this, I'm like going in my direction. Because for the Matt Walshes and the Ben Shapiros of the world, for them to not still have this dude to continue to push and exploit and, basically squeeze social relevancy out of, it's pretty much a loss for them. And it does maybe create an opportunity for him to possibly de-radicalize some of the right-wingers who are following his work, who think like, well, if Oliver Anthony, this guy whose music really inspired me, doesn't consider himself to be right-wing, then I don't either. That's kind of a hopeful outlook on the whole thing. Either way, that's my update on Oliver Anthony. I hope that he is, continuing to grow and learn and maybe writing a new interesting song that we'll hear at some point. Fingers crossed that it's good and actually mindful of people who he considers to be of the same class as him. Thank you guys very much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments. And that is going to be it for the moment. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Oliver Anthony, forever.